Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more. Hey guys, welcome to BTech. It's Basil here with a hands-on video comparison between the world's thinnest smartphone and the iPhone 6. You have to excuse the background noise, we're in a public place, but we're filming this here so that we could get the video to you as soon as possible because we don't know how long this is going to be the world's thinnest smartphone. It's 5.15 millimeters versus 6.9 millimeters. You can see the screen sizes are virtually identical, 4.8 inches versus 4.7. They also don't look too dissimilar, but promise you, one is an Android phone, one is an iPhone. The iPhone 6 from Apple is the latest dual core inside 8 megapixel camera with a true tone flash. It's an absolute powerhouse and it got a really great review from us earlier in the year. As for the Kazam Tornado 348, it comes in at a much lower price, packs Android, more modest specs, but just check out that all metal 5.15 millimeter body. We can talk you around the design and they actually don't feel too dissimilar. You've got a glass front on both of the devices. The iPhone is much more curvaceous, tapering in really elegantly. On the flip side of the iPhone, you can see the camera protrudes ever so slightly, creating a slight bump. That isn't ideal because it does mean that it's more prone to scratching, but ultimately this is the best designed phone on the block. You've also got that home button which doubles up as a fingerprint scan, another really nice design highlight. As for the Kazam Tornado 4.8-inch display, you've got awkwardly the buttons to the left-hand side. Now this will be perfect for any left-handed people. That's the power button and volume rocker, but if you are right-handed, that'll be one to consider. Down at the base, 3.5mm jack and a micro USB connector. Flip side, 8 megapixel camera. It doesn't look like there's expandable memory on either device. They both come in 16 gigabyte variants, however the iPhone also comes with 64 gig or 128 gigabytes as well. We're generally really impressed with the design of the Kazam Tornado. The screen also looks pretty punchy. It's an AMOLED display. 720p means its pixel density is just over 300. That's against the 326 pixels per inch of the iPhone 6. Holding them side by side, the iPhone 6 does look sharper. That's a combination of IPSs generally being sharper than AMOLEDs, and of course that higher PPI. They're both showing off different operating systems. It's iOS versus Android. Android 4.4, so not the latest. It isn't Android Lollipop. iOS 8 is the revised version of the operating system, which looks much cleaner, but it also has a few neat enhancements, such as widgets in the widgets area. You can also double tap that home button to bring everything down for anyone with smaller hands. In addition to that, you can double press the home button for multitasking. You can pull down the UI to access Spotlight search, and you've also got, in addition to widgets, Today menu and notifications up at the top. How does the UI on the Kazam Tornado stack up? Well, it's more traditional Android. It has got a skin over the top we can pinch through to reveal an overview of the home screens, and that's where we can add widgets, applications, and shortcuts. Jumping out, we can pull down the notifications tray, but this pulls up our quick settings toggles. We manually flip over to notifications. We'd assume that it defaults to this view if you have some notifications. And you've obviously also got an applications tray. Really nice spacing, 4x4 grid, so all the applications have plenty of room to breathe. Generally speaking, we are quite impressed by the Tornado. We've just had it for a few minutes, so this is by no means a conclusive in-depth review, but for the price, around under half of what you're going to pay for an iPhone, it isn't too shabby at all. As far as the key specs go, you've got an octa-core MediaTek processor inside. It's only got 1 gig of RAM, which isn't too fancy schmancy for an Android device. It's not going to stack up that well against flagships. So don't be fooled, octa-core won't mean killer power. There is, like we said though, that 16 gig internal memory, so that's respectable at least. While the Apple A8 chipset is dual core and is only paired with 1 gig of RAM, iOS is so efficient that it actually acts like an Android flagship. In fact, better. Very speedy, and you won't encounter any issues. And gaming on the iPhone 6 is an absolute dream, with titles like Modern Combat playing back beautifully. The battery capacity is larger on the Tornado at 2050 milliamps versus 1810 on the iPhone. While the cameras are the same resolution at 8 megapixels, the iPhone has a True Tone LED flash. One of the flashes is warm, one is cool, and that gives you the best white balance that you can get on a smartphone. Ultimately, they're comparable devices in many ways, like we just said. They're both super slim, they both feel really premium, and they're both very, very high-end smartphones in their own right. But the Tornado definitely is more tapered in terms of specs. And of course, the fact you can't get more than 16 gigabytes in here will put a lot of people off. Running Android, you can expect a little bit of slowdown every now and then, considering that 1 gig of RAM. Hopefully you've enjoyed our quick side-by-side comparisons. Like we said, this is super preliminary. If you have, make sure you click that like button. And if you like VTech, want to stay on top of all our content, then subscribe. That's how you're going to do it. Thanks for watching.